Hello, I'm Dr. Tom, and I'd like to welcome you to this Friday's update. Do you know our theme over the past several months has been to think about the term big, to begin to think bigger, meaning that to begin to be bigger in your interactions with others, in your life, in your business, to begin to do bigger things, to begin to have bigger thoughts, to begin to feel bigger feelings, to be able to think bigger thoughts and to act bigger. Act the part because it's who you are. It's who you can become. You know, recently Blaine and I were visiting with Kevin, and we were having a conversation about different strategies on things, and at one point he looked at us and he said, you know, I just can't think small. And we looked at each other and thought, well, we knew that about you, but thanks for reminding us. And the point is, that's the way he's wired. How are you wired? What do you think of? When you think of things to do with your life, when you think of things you're doing in business, when you think of things you're doing with your family, when you think about becoming happy, do you think you just barely want to be happy? You just want to be a little bit happy? Or do you think big? Do you think about what it would be like on a big scale? And I was reminded during that conversation about a business partner of mine who told me this decades ago, and he was so very good at it. He said, Dr. Tom, you know, it takes just about the exact same amount of time to do a little deal as it does to do a big deal. The difference is the reward at the end. And I never forgot that. It made so much sense to me. It takes just about the same amount of time to do a big deal as it does a little deal. You see, the rules, the steps are the same. So why not think bigger? Why not expand who you are? And when I have those conversations and we talk about thinking and we talk about bigger, I'm always reminded, of course, of a book that was written in 59, the year that I was born. And I'd read this book back it would have been in the mid-'80s probably, just after I'd graduated from chiropractic college. And then later I was introduced by this book. Kevin brought this book up again to me again. It was called, of course, The Magic of Thinking Big. It is a great read, and it is a great reread, because when you come to it from a new unit of time, when you come to it after you have enjoyed success in the Success Mastery course, because you begin to think bigger and you begin to act bigger and you begin to do and be and have bigger things. I thought I'd share with you just a couple of quick quotes from that book, just to kind of get the wheels turning on who you are and what you can be, because it's all there inside of you. It's just a matter of arranging things in a certain sequence and getting them in a certain vibration and frequency so that you attract all of those kinds of people into your world. And one of those, one of my very favorite in that is that the mind is what the mind is fed. The mind is what the mind is fed. And every time I think thoughts like that, I think of Ed Foreman. And I think about that daily menu, a daily menu that I have in my office. And I've had it there for decades. And I look at it daily. Every time I'm in my office, there it is. And it sits in front of me with the terrific bumper sticker that I got from the 80s when I first met Ed. You see, by doing something daily, by repeating those things, just small steps, keeping you focused, what your mind is fed. What do you feed your mind? What kind of information are you putting in there? It's one of the keys of the Success Mastery course. Feed your mind daily. Another quote that I love there is that action cures fear. And you know, action cures fear. It's action. We've talked about this ad nauseum about if you'll apply the Success Mastery course, if you'll apply those tenets, if you'll apply those principles, you'll cure fear. You see, there is no fear that you cannot take an action step to overcome. The key is to take action. You must take action. It will change your life, and it will change your life forever. Next one I looked at was, look at things not as they are, but as they can be. And this is a principle that I learned and learned to perfect personally as a physician. Because people would come to me in a particular condition, with a particular condition. Typically they came in with an ache, a pain, a challenge, a problem, something that wasn't going on perfectly in their life. Rarely did someone come in and say, man, this is the best day I've ever had. Just thought I'd stop by and see what you thought. That isn't who would come to see you as a chiropractor, as a physician. And so people would come to me, and I began to teach them to look at what would your life be like if it were different? What would your life be like if you no longer had that? And then once I could get them to thinking about what life looked like in that new paradigm, in that new way, then they could forget the story of why they were the way they were. And they could begin to transition from the challenges and the problems and the complaints and the pain and the misery that they were experiencing into a new line of thinking, a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at their life and realizing that, things weren't really all that bad, that they actually could be that good. And once you start thinking about good things, it builds on itself and it perpetuates, and pretty soon all you're thinking about are good things. So I invite you to look at things the way they could be. How do you desire them to be? And then begin to act as if they were that way, and pretty soon they'll be that way. Another great line in this book is that, I like this one, that hope is a start. And it is so true. Giving people hope is a brilliant gift. However, hope is not a strategy. Those are two different things. Like I relayed to you recently in an update and on our New Year's kickoff call, which if you haven't seen that, please go to the website, listen to it. There are some great announcements there. Hope is a start. It's not a strategy. It's not the plan. When I talked to that young man about how was he going to get to all the things he was telling me and he was excited about and he was passionate about, how are you going to get there? I know we don't start with the how, but at some point you have to take action steps. You have to plot a course. You have to be able to move in that direction. Hope is a start, not a strategy. Next one that I wanted to leave you with on this concept today is the thinking that guides your intelligence is much more important than the intelligence you have. You see, it's the thinking, it's the thought process, it's what you feed the mind, it's who you are that determines the success that you will have. And I saw this time and time again throughout my educational career. Some of the people that I was in school with who were brilliant intellects didn't make the best doctors because they didn't necessarily have the people skills to relate to people. Some of them became great scientists, great researchers. I mean, if you can find your passion and live working in your passion, it's not really work, it's just fulfilling your passion. What is your destiny? What is your life purpose? Who do you intend to become? Who do you intend to become? It's what you think and what you put into the mind, that's what you get back. And that confidence, something that oftentimes intelligent people don't have, that social confidence, not all, but some. That confidence is something that I think is built through the Success Mastery course. It's something that is built at major events because you get to interact with like-minded people and you begin to hear success stories and you begin to think, they're just like me. If they can do it, so could I. And that is a beautiful lesson. And it's why we're so excited about what's coming up in Punta Cana. And one of our guest presenters is going to be Brian Dodge. He's going to talk about some business aspects. And when we talk about that business, you see there are so many ways. We're talking about personal business. We're talking about your life. We're talking about maybe you own a business. Maybe you work in a business. There are all kinds of interactions. Maybe you have employees. Maybe you are an employee. There are all different interactions that happen there. And in addition to the keynote speech that he will be giving on Saturday, he's also going to do a very special breakout session for business owners from 1:30 to 3 on Saturday. So if you're making plans to do things, make a plan. If you're in that category, make a plan to be there from 1:30 to 3. It will be some spectacular sharing of information. And on that note, while we're talking about the world of Punta Cana, as things begin to heat up, and as we always have a Saturday night party. We always have a themed party, if you will. And this year will be no different, and Punta Cana will be no different, and it will be hot. And to tell us about what that theme is and to explain a little bit about that Saturday night, I'd like to turn it over to our very own Joel and Lindsay. Guys?
Hey groovy people, I'm Joel.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we are here to tell you about the Global Family Reunion Saturday Night Party. Woohoo! What is it?
Well,
You want to say it?
I
I feel like I have more of the look, so Saturday Night Fever. It's Saturday Night Fever from the 70s. I totally have the look, right, Linz?
well, yeah, it's a little Burt Reynolds, but it works. It's
How about this? If I do one of these?
that's a little Vegas Elvis,
Well, even with the stash? All right, I got one more.
especially with the stash.
How about this? Huh? The helmet?
Ooh, Evil Knievel, still no.
All 70s.
No.
All right, well then.
Saturday Night Fever, disco.
That's a good move. How about this one? Huh?
Oh
This
yeah.
shirt. Yeah,
Oh,
there we go.
yeah.
I think
There
I
we
need to
go.
button it up just a little
You
bit
got
more.
no. They
All
had
right.
those deep V's going. They're
Okay.
rocking
All
it.
right, that's the only necklace I
Saturday
had.
Night Fever. It's getting hot in Punta Cana.
It's gonna be a great time. It's Saturday night, so that means dress as your best John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John look that you have. You can do the wigs if you want to. It's gonna be a great time. Plus, you can email us. In fact, send an email to me directly, JYEAST @ginunited.com, and give me your music requests for Saturday night. We'll see if the DJ can play them. You were all around in the 70s, right?
Well,
All right, whatever. Speaking of 70s, if you were around then, maybe you have a photo. Do you have a photo of you from the 70s? Maybe in one of these poses? Send it to us.
I was 2.
You were 2 in the 70s? I also was 2 in the 70s, but in the early 70s.
Oh.
Either way, send us a photo of you in the 70s, maybe her as a baby in the 70s, to support@ginunited.com. Support@ginunited.com with those 70s photos, and if they're good enough, they might just make the video board on Saturday night in Punta Cana.
That's right. Be there. It's going to be hot. It's Saturday Night Fever.
And if you are sending us those photos, you may or may not look the same now as you did then. But it's fine. It works for John Travolta. So that's it. Saturday Night Fever. Saturday at Punta Cana. Anything else, Linz? I love
Be
it.
there. I want to see full participation. Bring the wigs. Bring the pictures. Bring the outfits. Bring the disco.
See you next time.
Thank you so much for being with us on this Friday update, and we're really looking forward to seeing so very many of you in Punta Cana. Until next week, have a great week.